Hi, it's Jean here, doing St George's Daily Doughnut. But I have to tell you, even saying the word doughnut, after 4 weeks in isolation, I'm absolutely salivating. A nice, fresh, round doughnut with jam oozing out of the middle. That's a distant dream now. So what am I doing? I'm knitting. Now I need to tell you I'm no great knitter, so don't be thinking that. When the girls were young, I decided I would knit a brown cardigan for their brownies. The girls were 7 when I started, and at the age of 12, all I had was one arm and a back. I did tell you I was no great knitter, so why am I knitting? Well, just before we went into lockdown, Psalm 139, a verse from it jumped out, and in it says this: "You created my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." It just jumped out at me. You know, I knit you together in your mother's womb. Isn't it fascinating that God had a hand in putting together all the bits that make up me in my mother's womb? The gentle bits, the quirky bits, the irritating bits, even the lumpy bits, God had a hand in knitting together in my mother's womb. So I got to thinking, well, if knitting's all right for God, it's good enough for me as well. So here I am, knitting. Now I have to tell you, I have no pattern and I have no chosen colours to make this aesthetically pleasing. All I have is bits of wool that some of the folks at the Wednesday congregation gave me. So I'm knitting away. So thick wool has to work alongside thin wool. What I did was I put on as many stitches as I could onto the needles, and off I went. You see, I'm prayer knitting. So eventually, row after row is full of prayers. Eventually I'll have some kind of prayer shawl, but it will be a very odd shape and colour. So in it, in my knitting, there are prayers of tears wept over a child that died too young. There are prayers of anger at the apparent silence of God, and anger at the people who put other people's lives at risk. Alongside, there's prayers of laughter when the grandchildren put a video online, and I laughed until I cried. And then there are prayers of bewilderment as the virus hits a number of members of one family who are already stretched to the limit. There's prayers written in here as well of gratitude, woven in when a white geranium suddenly blooms. There's ordinary asking prayers of healing and wholeness for frontline troops. You know, I feel as if I am prayer knitting into people's lives. There's even prayers for technology to work when a medical appointment can only depend on good internet connection. There's prayers of great sadness as well in my knitting when I hear of 1 million Rohingya refugees in a camp in Bangladesh with not a single ventilator. There's prayers of frustration when I realise that I simply do not have the skills to help. It's in these rows that I notice more stitches are dropped and I have to go back and rework them. You know, there's also rows of praise here, prayers of sheer delight when God simply comes close in the most unexpected times. And there's rows and rows of simply disciplined prayers when I had to seek God hour after hour purely because he is my Father. There's the Lord's Prayer knit in here, and the grace is knitted in as well. And there's the prayers of the saints and my own bumbling attempts as I just simply try and pray. Many of you watching this video are also knit in these prayers as I pray for you. When will I stop? Not until we can meet in the flesh again as a church, or of course unless the wool runs out. But here again, maybe, just maybe, I've discovered my own prayer style. I've begun to wonder what yours is as well. Would you send your answers, accompanied by doughnuts of course? They will be greatly received, but please leave them on the doorstep. Amen.